It's often the people you've never heard of who leave the biggest mark. The ones who work behind the scenes, quietly building the future. That's exactly the story we're getting into today. The life of a true quiet architect, Dr. Muhammad Yaqub Mirza.
And this right here, this quote just perfectly captures the whole thing. It's a bit of a puzzle, isn't it? A man who lived in silence but changed the reality of a nation. How does someone who stays so far away from the spotlight end up having that kind of impact?
So that's the big question we're tackling. Who was this incredible mind, and how did he pull it off? We're going to dig into the life and legacy of a real pioneer, and it all starts with the very unique way his mind worked.
Okay, so to really get who Dr. Mirza was, we've got to go back to the beginning. And his story doesn't start where you'd expect, like in finance or economics. Nope, it starts in the super precise, superstructured world of physics.
He was born in Karachi, came over to the US for his education, and ended up with a PhD in physics from the University of Texas at Dallas. And get this, his thesis was on advanced laser research. We're talking serious, high-level science. And it's that kind of super rigorous scientific training that gave him this incredible mental toolkit he would later use in a totally different field.
And you can see that transition so clearly right here. All those skills you need to be a physicist, the precision, the ability to build complex models, that disciplined way of thinking, he took all of that and basically used it as a blueprint for his work in finance. So this wasn't just him switching jobs, it was him applying a physicist's brain to a whole new world to build something entirely new.
And this was the question that really drove him. He wasn't interested in just talking about ideas. He was all about the how. How do you actually take Islamic values and turn them into powerful, real-world financial institutions? Institutions that could actually compete on the global stage, but without ever losing their ethical core.
So naturally, that question led to action. He wasn't a man who just sat around thinking. He was a builder. And there are two institutions in particular that really stand as these massive pillars of his legacy. First up, you have the Amana mutual funds. And you have to understand, this was way more than just another company. It was a pioneering, groundbreaking experiment. For the first time, it gave Muslims living in the West a legitimate, professional way to invest their money, a way that didn't force them to compromise their deepest held values. And this is where you really see his genius at play. He didn't just oversee this. He personally developed the specific criteria. Think about it. He set super strict ratios for debt, which was a brilliant way to filter out companies that relied too much on interest, a key principle in Islamic finance. He blended these hard financial metrics with ethical standards, and did it all while navigating the complexities of U.S. law. It was a masterclass in bringing two different worlds together. And the result of all that hard work? Well, the amount of funds grew and grew to manage billions of dollars. It was the ultimate proof that yes, ethical, faith-based investing wasn't just a niche idea. It could absolutely succeed and even thrive on a massive global scale. Now, his other huge contribution was at the International Institute of Islamic Thought, what's known as IIT, and his role there was just so unique. He wasn't just another academic, he was the guy who made things happen. They called him the executive intellectual, and that's the perfect description. He was that vital bridge who could take a lofty academic vision and then build the rock-solid financial engine to make it a reality. But, a story like this is never that simple. His path was hit with some incredible challenges. Especially in that atmosphere of fear and suspicion after 9/11, his entire life's work was about to be put through the ultimate test. So it's 2002. The whole country is on edge, and he gets swept up in this massive federal raid. Can you even imagine? Your entire life's work, which you've built meticulously on a foundation of ethics, is suddenly under a microscope, facing this intense public suspicion. But after years of investigation, what happened? He was totally, completely vindicated. No charges were ever filed. In a strange way, this whole ordeal, which could have destroyed his reputation, ended up being the single greatest testament to his integrity.
So when you look back, what is the legacy he actually leaves behind? I think the best way to understand it isn't just by looking at the institutions, but by hearing from the people who knew him best.
His close colleague, the late Dr. Jamal Barzinji, said it just perfectly. He said, Yaqub Mirza was the man we trusted when it came to money, not only for his competence, but for the nobility of his heart and his integrity. In finance, trust is everything. And Dr. Mirza didn't just earn it with his skill, he earned it with his character.
Then you have Dr. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, who pointed out this really rare balance he had. He said Yaqub combined the depth of knowledge with the precision of management.
He wasn't just a big-picture thinker or a detail-oriented manager. He was both, that perfect bridge between a great idea and actually getting it done.
And finally, this quote from Dr. Hisham Talib really gets to the core of his vision. He said he was not just a businessman, but a thinker who saw in every institution a civilizational project. And that's it, right there. For Dr. Mirza, a fund, an endowment, it was never just about the money. It was always a piece of something much, much bigger.
So this is what he left behind. This is his living inheritance. It's so much more than just money or buildings. It's this vast network of institutions, these global funds, hundreds of academic grants, and maybe most importantly, an entire generation of young leaders that he personally trained. All of it built on his foundational ideas about ethics and good governance.
When he passed away on December 3, 2025, it truly marked the end of an era. The community didn't just lose a brilliant mind, they lost a founder, an irreplaceable figure. They lost the quiet architect who spent his life designing an entire skyline of institutions that were built to last.
And all this leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. The life of Dr. Muhammad Yaqub Mirza really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How can a single person's vision, when it's focused and principled, be transformed into a legacy that becomes, for all intents and purposes, immortal, woven right into the fabric of the institutions they created?